right. Hey, Brad Renville joining us today on this episode of Common Man Podcast. Any leaders that speak up, Brad and I kind of always pull aside and pull things apart. And we enjoy that.
I think we enjoyed a whole bunch.
Would you claim that title?
I will claim that I am a student of doing this more and more. I'll just use that kind of comment related to it. But yeah.
And the cool thing is that it is a step in building beautiful things, is to deconstruct things that could be reconstructed as more beautiful. It's a step in building beautiful things. It's a step in pulling people together. It's a step in thinking about the challenges, hardships, adversities in life, or just like cleaned up teaches and like saying, hold on a second, that doesn't seem to hold the weight I need it to. Or does all that make sense to you too?
Yeah, that's a lot of words for me.
I know,
but yeah,
that's what we're doing.
No, that's fine. You know, I think that the where I spend most of my time and thought, first of all, I'm always focused on trying to learn in whatever situation I'm in. And words mean a lot. And also how one is incorporated into a conversation, whether they're direct or not. And sometimes I see things from my perspective that don't always show that this is a conversation that's for all, and it's maybe not created to embrace all effectively. Mm-hmm. And those are the things where I start, looking at it and saying, I think there's a miss here that could have been a little bit stronger if someone had added a few more thoughts related to whatever the discussion is.
Yes. There's a risk to live like that without the good news invitation of Jesus Christ. Because Jesus could have sat in heaven as the ultimate deconstructionist and like said, nah, let's wipe it clean again. Let's wipe it clean again. Let's wipe it clean again. But instead, he chose to come down and live a life in a reconstruction game. He is a self-proclaimed peacemaker. And the only one that could truly safely, above reproof, deconstruct would have been him. But yet he came down to show us how to put that the mind's ability to deconstruct to work in the process of next step reconstruction. And so one of the reasons I wanted to have Brad here today is, one, that is just, it's fun to talk to deconstructionists because I hope to have you back on so that we can pressure test a lot of things that I think are going on in the marketplace. And not many people like to have those conversations like me and you do, so I want to have you back on to do some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. But the main thing I want to do today, y'all, is talk about death and dying. We had Chris Pearden on a minute ago, and did some of that. And then Brad, his wife just passed and went to heaven, Miss Valerie.
Yep.
And I was alongside Brad in the past 2 years leading up to that, and then those moments, and then this. How long has it been since?
Just over 2 months.
Just over 2 months since Valerie went home. And one of the super unique things about is this moment around Valerie's passing is that there was like this explosive joy in the funeral. And Christians are uniquely the only ones that seem to be able to safely celebrate next step taking from here to wherever there is. I think heaven would be a good way of describing it. Are you cool with talking about that some today?
Oh, I'd love to. It's and you'll get my perspective on my journey through this time. I think that first of all, I lost somebody who I wanted to spend a lot of time with, a lot more time with, because the first 30 plus years of our marriage was very difficult. And it wasn't until I finally threw away most of my pride, not all of it. I keep some for rainy days and moment to moment times, but it was now about what can I do for somebody who's loved me for many, many years. And so I'll just kind of open up what I prayed for at the very end, or for the last several weeks of the very end, was to have another 10 years or more with my wife, because I didn't have enough time to show her how much I loved her and how much she meant to me. And I had that prayer constantly, and I would call it even a wrestling with God. Whenever the thought came was, I just need that. Please allow me to have that. You've done that in the past with others. And but if I didn't have a base of faith and a base of truly believing and knowing that I am chosen and going to heaven, it would have been very difficult. And the last day or two, the prayer changed to more of, if she walks out of the bed this evening, that's beautiful. And if you take her, that's just as beautiful. Right. And so that's how I ended, my time with her here. So, it's, I don't know where you want me to try to go here, but I'll just say this, that without faith, without friendship, and without people in my lives, this would be much more difficult today than ever before. To your point, David, when you hear things after the funeral or the celebration of her life, people walked out of that room and they were pumped and ready to serve. And Valerie was definitely a person who served everybody ceaselessly. And even her family, which was probably the most difficult challenge she had in her life for many, many, many years. But there were a lot of people that came up and, just said she meant a lot. And you never truly know, who you're touching. And I don't think she realized how many people she did touch. But in just the short 4+ years here in Anderson, there were quite a few people in that room that she had touched and had given grace to and love to and value to, which is what she was meant to do. She was meant to mentor, love, and bring people to realize what God has created inside them and who they are as a child, either a prince or a princess. So she spent a lot of time with women, making them and letting them realize they are a princess in God's eyes. So it was really kind of a surreal environment, the celebration.
And what did she die from?
She died of cancer.
How long had she lived with it?
She lived with it for 5.5 years. Her story and path there was, it happened just prior to COVID. And COVID made a pause happen as we'd kind of decided to go down a certain path and have reconstruction in her chest. But there was a pause, and she started doing some research, and as many times as she went out and could see the things that modern medicine can do, she often saw all the times where the modern medicine did not work, and that the quality of life for that person was very poor. And maybe there was some winning along the way, but it was poor more times than you could imagine. And so she decided to take a leap of faith and had, I think, some inspiration from above saying, just make your body healthy as you can. And so she spent all her life trying to eat well, do the right things, some supplements to, create, better burning of cells and bad things in her body. And so that went really good for probably almost 5 years. And then she realized that after playing pickleball 3 times a week, her back was starting to hurt a little bit, and she thought she needed to do some stretching. So we went to a chiropractor, and he mentioned to her that she has had breast cancer, or had it. And he told me to do some x-rays, and then they found cancer in her spine. And so from the breast to the spine, and that started all the work that happened. But I would say it wasn't until the last 90 days that it started to affect her. And then just through a series of events, falling backwards and breaking an arm, and then playing with the dogs after you've broken your arm in the backyard because you're feeling better, and you fall over and you can't get your arms up because you're in a sling, and so you slam your head on the ground and you fracture your neck. So she started having some bad things happen, and it did speed things up a lot. But she fought all the way to the very, very, very end. And one of the last things she said prior to really becoming sedated, just because of where she was at in her path of life here, she was needed to go to the restroom. So my daughter and I walked her into the bathroom, and she sat down, and all of a sudden she's barking out. She goes, "Peach coat." And my daughter's going, "I don't know what that means, Dad." She goes, "Peach coat." And she goes, "Mom, I don't know what you're saying." And she goes, "Well, ask Dad, he knows." So I go, "Well, that's her favorite coat." So we went and got her coat out of the closet, and Rachel goes in there, and it's my daughter, my oldest daughter, and she goes in there and gives her the coat, and she puts it on. Well, we're thinking she's cold. So as we start to bring her out, we turn toward the living room area, and she goes, "Wrong way." And we're going, "What do you mean wrong way?" She goes, "We're going to go to the mall." And we're going, you can't walk. We're not going to really do much of going to the mall. And so basically we said and looked and go, "Well, let's go for a ride."
Mm-hmm.
So we loaded her up in the car, and probably took 20 minutes to get her up there because she was very immobile at the time. And then we went and drove and visited some friends, and she was happy as a lark.
Mm-hmm.
Just that was the best thing she could do. And then the next day is when things started to go quickly downhill. So she was a strong person, a loving person, and caring for not only herself, but everybody else all the way up to the very end.
What do you think about the faith, the relationship that she had with the Lord allowed her process to be different? Nobody knows how to talk about these things. Just like, by the way, like if we say, normally we say this at the end, but if we say something wrong or handle this incorrectly, it's just 2 brothers investigating life, and this has nothing to do with anybody else. And me and I don't know how to do. I say death or dying or passing or and so I just wanted to let everybody have a deep breath that me and Brad have a good friendship, and that we can talk about these things. And anyway, so back to our question. So I'm sorry if I don't say the right words or whatever.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm just apologizing to our audience too. So.
No,
we're going to do our best here to hear all this and then hear about the Lord on it.
Yeah, it's
So yeah, what do you think was her faith, and how was it how was it informing her process in dying?
Yeah. So let me first tell you why I think she had faith and how she showed it.
Okay, right on. Let's do that.
So we were doing a men's study that I'm part of, and we were talking about as when Christ died and went on the cross, everybody went and hid, except for the women.
Mm.
And then who were the first to go and find out that the stone had been rolled away?
Girls.
And so if I go back, I think that for those that have marriages, the man and the woman aren't complete until they're married and together. Now they're one.
Whoa.
And there's certain qualities and traits that a woman has that most men, including myself, don't have. And it's a lot of empathy. It's a lot of interactions at the deep levels within herself and within others or with others. And so, she's unique to me in that way. That was just, I can't understand. And, walking around the house and watching her giggle as the dogs do something funny, or watching her look at somebody and just have a smile, that ability to go and see the good in an individual or an action which brought her joy. And I don't think you get that happiness or that joy unless you have a true relationship with Christ.
Right.
And so, for 35 plus years, every morning, just about every morning, she spent time with the Lord. And she read, she investigated, she taught, she empowered, but her relationship was as strong as anyone that I know personally. And so that ability that ability to have that relationship that she had and that joy and happiness, she knew where she was going. She was content in her life.
How did that come? Why are you comfortable saying that? Was that evidenced by like things she would say or things she would do in the passing? What was she?
Yeah, we had conversations well before the passing time.
Okay.
That whatever the result is.
Yeah, and so that confirmed obviously that she had a really strong relationship. And what that means is that she has a reliance on what God says and does and what he's done and said in the past.
Yep.
And it builds her ability to have emotional stability.
Yep. So I think it's Philippians 1:6. He who starts a good work in you finishes it.
Mm-hmm.
This I'll get a little bit emotional. She prayed for her family a bunch.
Oh, that's fun.
And I think she finally got me fully across the door, through the door.
You had to be seen. No,
But what I take away now as the biggest gain or sign that she accomplished what God had planned for her and what she wanted was that our youngest daughter, Shannon, and when I spoke to Alan about this a few days ago, he asked how Shannon's doing. And I said, well, when Shannon came home this past October, before Valerie passed in December, she was a 4 as far as relationships, interactions, ability to interact with the family, to love and show love. And she's now a 9.5. So I think Valerie's prayers for her to go through all of the conditional problems that she had in her life were resolved. And I think Christ came in, God came in and took away it. Now I have a daughter that loves me, that cares for me, that's hugged me for the first time in probably over 15, 20 years. And so I take that as a completion of her life here, and I know where she's at. And she's giving me now another daughter that I have that I didn't have previously.
And so one of the things you're saying, it's super duper duper nuanced, but Shannon, right?
Yes.
Her time with mom in this last season has opened her up to new ways of relating to mom that you saw, and then you, and then the family in general. And those are things that we could only posit and wonder about, but God was doing a work in Shannon as Valerie lived in this last season in relationship to him. Is that kind of what you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, Valerie prayed for her ceaselessly.
Yeah.
And as everybody
Hope
said,
for any parent.
yeah, very intentional in that. And
Even in the tool, even in the moments of death, life.
Yeah.
In this little girl's heart.
Yeah, and
Are you getting his mic okay, Johnny?
I would say that so I have two experiences with death. I'm going to bring up another one.
Cool.
I mean, so my youngest brother died of ALS. And for anybody that doesn't know what ALS does, it takes away all your ability to have a muscle do anything. And the last muscle that fails is the lungs. All through that time, through that period, you are coherent, knowledgeable, capable, but you may not be able to walk, you may not be able to talk, you may not be able to do anything. And so when my brother, who is 9 years younger than me, about 20 years ago died, I happened to be there with others celebrating him. And when, picture a young man finally has a marriage, struggle for many years to have a child. And then as soon as the child is conceived, they find out he has ALS. So his goal in life was to go and see her go to elementary school. And so for 6 years, at first, everybody's angry, mad. How could this happen? The Martina, his wife's going, my love, that I've wanted, my dream that I've wanted, now is all crushed and changed. And so they ended up, and he ended up about 2 years into it, changing his attitude. And I think it's because Jesus became number one in his life. And so the last night or two before he passed, before the funeral, he was sitting there and all his friends are there, his best friend. And so he's there and he can barely talk. I mean, it's just like a little whisper. You can barely hear it. And so he motions to his best friend to come on over, and he comes over and he's whispering, and he can't really hear what my brother Jeff is saying. And so, but at that point, he's just struggled to try to determine what was that. Well, at the funeral, he came over and talked to me, and he goes, what Jeff was saying was, happy birthday. Because in his mind, again, he's about the other people, when you get to that point, and he wanted to tell him happy birthday because that meant a lot.
Mm.
And so when I look at people that have that strength and that passion and that connectedness, and it's, and this is where I want to go today as who I am as a man, is to be able to have that type of a relational component, a connectedness to others. And, it's my wife was always somebody who looked at the least and made them the most. And so that's kind of some of my deconstruction thoughts sometimes when I'm in conversations or hearing, messages from teachers, etc.
If I remember correctly, that was how you opened your speech at the funeral, which was as the approach that Jesus, you can see it in the New Testament and throughout the Bible, but where he said, to love another person is to be divine.
Yeah.
And to love the least of these is to be divine.
Yeah.
It's the highest level of human living, is to help the marginalized, love them, and give to them sacrificially in whatever capacity the Spirit prompts you to.
Yeah.
And Valerie did that and lived that mantra. Did she have any scriptures that she held to that you recall in the closing days?
No, there are a few. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
No, I was just curious.
Yeah.
And so what about, I really want to continue to circle the idea of relationship to God is the only place for us to find hope in this life, specifically as things like traumatic things like death happen. Is there anything else that you feel prompted about all that?
Well, it's when Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself, um, love God first, love your neighbor as yourself as the second. I take that as that is my mantra today, as best I can do it.
Yeah.
And you know, the places where I engage and serve, or the respect that I give as I work today versus what I did earlier in my career, are entirely different. It's of course everybody wants to succeed, but I would rather have somebody else succeed in work outside.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I try to let people know who I am as an individual, as a Christ follower. And I've been fortunate to have some real strong Christians surround me, even at work. So it's allowed me to, I think, feel embraced and covered today with Valerie gone, more than you could ever imagine. You know, I would just say that, you know, I've got a good base of friends, and I'll come back to the question in a second. But
you're good, man.
I've got a good base of people. I've got 3 or 4 smaller circles of people that I talk to a lot, and all of that gives me comfort. All of that gives me meaning. And when I can go into a study with a group of men, or could be a couples group, I'm still part of one of those as an individual. But the ability to sit down and dissect and talk about the word inside each verse that was written, that's what's interesting in my life, and where I want to go and what I want to do. I don't know if I'll ever be able to say a lot of verses and quote them all directly, but I do intentionally understand what Christ did on earth.
Yeah.
And I think that's what drives me in my life today, and most everything I do, when I'm not thinking about myself.
Right. How do you think Brad 10 years ago would have handled this?
I'd have been lost.
What's that mean?
It means I would just be frustrated. I wouldn't have comfort in just still being here. I would be running. I would be trying to do things on my own differently.
Like what?
I'd be down in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
I'd be running to try to find comfort instead of trying to find comfort where I'm at.
Right.
And you know, whether or not I end up somewhere else, you know, that's to be seen. I don't know what my path is today. You know, my word at this point is to listen, and so I'm trying to have more quiet times, small group Bible times, where you can actually listen to words and people and not be obstructed by the world. And you know, from a professional standpoint, I'm doing things that I never would have thought I've done previously. You know, my career path where I'm at is just crazy that I'm here, but I'm fruitful and I enjoy it. And I know the path that I have is not mine, it's his. So I want to go and do the best I can there.
That sounds like a new idea.
In what way?
That to enjoy the idea that my path isn't mine, it's his.
Oh, I've known that for a long time.
That's supremely biblical, only biblical.
Yeah.
Every other world belief and atheistic belief is no, my path is mine. I need to make my path. It's so great to be a fixed.
Yeah, that was a lesson learned in the early 2000s for me, that my path isn't my own, and even if you think I'll say it this way, even if I thought I was a good Christian then, you know, whether I was or wasn't, I don't know, but the path wasn't easy, and so And so, but if I look back and look at my life and the people I've met, this is all things that are divine. And I think it's what, Second Ephesians 10. He has the path for me, and so that's basically, I'm just on his path. And again, right now I'm in a new chapter, so I'm trying to figure out what that path is going to look like going forward. You got 210 there?
I'm looking.
Okay. So
the cool thing is it allows for that type of idea, if you believe it, it's not just information, but you do believe it and live by it. It allows you to be really open, but also super present in the day, because you're not having to overly manage the tomorrow. You can do your best today and leave tomorrow up to him.
Yep.
There's enough. The Bible says there's enough worries for today. Don't think about tomorrow. Tomorrow will come, and you can think about those things now.
Yeah.
And Jesus lived. I mean, he super lived like that, which is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that actually could think about all things. He was really present in the moment.
He was really present with the people he was around.
With the people.
Yep.
At the funeral, everybody was like dancing, and it was like, and like raising up hands and stuff. I've never been to a funeral like that.
Really?
Have you?
No. If you grow up,
did you notice that?
Well,
could you see it when you were there?
I saw a little, but most of the time it was hard for me even when I was talking to see what was going on.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then most of the other time I'm up in the front, so I don't know all the stuff, but I do know that the music that was selected was inspirational, and had no idea what I was going to do in advance. Had no idea who was going to talk in advance.
Mm-hmm.
No idea what I was going to say in advance.
Wow.
Until just a day or two or three before, when someone said, I think you need to have a plan.
I want to go back to the Brad 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because that guy, I'm that guy, right? In regards to a new issue, we're all that guy. And there's also that guy in where like there's a death. They're currently in a death. It might not be a physical death. It could be the death of a job. It could be the loss of a child. It could be the death of a dream. And so Brad 10 years ago, how could you encourage Brad 10 years ago? How would you?
So Brad 10 years ago was still one of the most prideful people in the world.
But did Brad 10 years ago see that? What did he say? What was his language like about him, about his pride?
Well, the language, or what the pridefulness was, well, I'm the best at what I'm doing. Nobody can do it without my input. What we decide to do as a family is my decision, because I work hard, and it was a mirror, looking in a mirror. What would make me happy at that moment? And so the key difference, which probably changed about 4 or 5 years ago.
Right. And
a result of a Wednesday morning meeting at New Spring. You probably didn't know that, did you? But today.
What, dude?
Huh?
What happened?
What happened?
Don't like run past that.
So we were.
We're in Bible study Wednesday morning.
We are. I don't know if you were there that day or not.
Praise the Lord. I hope I
don't know. You may not have been there.
Maybe not.
It was early on in my attendance there, and so there was a conversation going back and forth, and somebody said something, about sin, and sinners die and all this kind of stuff, and the way I took the comment was that, and what I was feeling was that my brother, another brother, got with 3 other of his best friends. My best friends was hit by a train, and they were all killed instantly. And this is when I was 20 years old.
This is when we were at the front table.
Yep.
Together.
Were we? Okay. Yeah. And so, And so somebody said something, and I took it that as a thing saying, well, your brother died because he was a sinner. And I'm going, how can you say that? And I just went off on a chat, a very quick chat, demeaning, and then somebody would say, well, and
which is not biblical.
Yeah,
right?
they start throwing
but
verses
people,
at me. They throw verses at me, and I'm going, you don't even know who I am,
right?
How I really feel,
right?
But that moment was probably the first time that I ever mourned for my brother. And because my dad had said, and I don't have any ill thoughts on my dad, he said, but you need to be strong for your younger brothers. So, you're in charge.
Right. Yep, I remember that.
Yep. So
it was the first time you came to terms with the sadness.
With the sadness
and letting it come out.
Yep. Yeah. And so that was kind of the turning point, and that's just when my heart really started to soften.
Whoa. That's when your heart started to soften, and Brad 10 years ago began to feel again.
Yeah. Well, no, 4.5 years ago, really.
So Sorry, yeah.
10 years,
yeah.
There's no sight of a soft heart.
So, okay.
Especially for family. Maybe for others, but family was hard.
Yeah. Got it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, family is a difficult thing for all of us because we will turn them into conduits for us.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas outsiders, in order to get what you want, you got to serve them. Insiders, in order to get what I want, they need to serve me.
Yeah.
And that's everybody deals with that one in the church, outside the church, in every gathered group of people.
Correct. Yeah.
That's one of the reasons me and a buddy were talking about the standard difference we hold with our kids and how we choose to steward forgiving them versus how we hold with a friend or a spouse.
Mm-hmm.
We hold out on forgiveness. They need to come to us, but we go to our children. You know what I mean? We give them whatever they want to rebuild the bridge. So Brad 5 years ago began to let himself feel sadness.
Yeah, sadness, and that's 20 years of small groups, men's groups, all kinds of different things.
What the heck, bro? Like what was there another lever?
I mean, is there another lever?
Was there another lever in that 5 year window? Like when you were getting?
No.
Were you just confronted with the weight of this new season for Val? And you were angry and show me some activity, and you were also soft and ready?
The 5 year back, lever with Val was probably just maybe 3-4 years. So it was after that is when my heart for my wife and everything changed.
Yeah.
And the other thing that happened, just to let you know real quick, was she had asked all her life to say, I want to go to Europe when we want to go travel. And so we had the ability and we did it. And at the very end of it, she goes, this was the best vacation I've ever had.
And when was that?
That was 3 years ago.
And I remember that.
Yep. And that to me was life-changing because I was finally listening.
And that was post-diagnosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when I realized all the things that I had not done well.
So if you were to burn the ships on something to encourage a person with it's very difficult for anyone to activate when outside of their timing, of course, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We're not doing the work of the Spirit, but we are trying to spur thought. And so what kind of thing would you encourage a guy with in order to say, here, this was my wake up. Yep. Use this as your wake up. Here's a text. Use this text as your wake up. Here's who this father is. Use this perspective as your, here's what you can lose out.
Right.
Or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's, I would say that, if you are someone like myself that's very prideful, I think you have to be very focused on trying to get away from that. And I think it's easy to go outside of the family. It was for me versus inside of the family. And so
like wake up is repulsive.
It is. It's hard. It's hard. I mean, it's if you
scorned almost.
Right. If you take a look at my journey in life and when I was in addiction, you know, I lived through when Jesus came in my body and pulled my addiction out of my body.
Right.
So I didn't have it.
Right.
And then I'm out at a camp that I struggled to go to with my wife because she wanted me to go to some Memorial Weekend camp, and I wanted to go play golf every day. But I went out, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I'm out walking, and all of a sudden I just start crying, and I just feel the Lord again in my body, right? I didn't even use those as wake-up calls to find out who I really was because my pride was so strong. And so
I think anger, onboard anger.
Yeah, I had anger early.
Fuels continued blindness.
Yeah.
Which really, it's not even blindness, honestly. You know what I think it is? I think it's what do you medicate with in light of your dilemma?
Yeah.
It's like we're not willing to give up this medication strategy because it gives us our only life.
Yeah. So that I love that you said that because that is who I've been for many years. And my medication wasn't really the cocaine or some drinking. My medication was doing.
Yeah.
So if that meant going to wherever we
right.
wanted to go, wherever I wanted to go,
right.
that was my medication. And every year, and I'm taking this in right now because even right now I kind of look at this and I go, maybe I haven't thought that through enough. But I always want to have a plan for what I'm doing for the year. Without that, I am restless, and I have the motivation's not there. So it's I just need that goal, saying that this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
So instead of just sitting back and listening and waiting.
Well, we know that life, substantive and creative human life, happens with good planning. Like that's good. That's like reasonable worldly wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Good plans are the starting point to like beautiful adventure-y life. And so like even non-believers can, believers and non-believers, we can all get addicted to planning greatness and executing greatness, but still be empty.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was empty for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always had glimpses of things when I was unemployed. Where did I get my happiness? Got my happiness at church, doing things with the church. So I've always known these little things that have brought joy and happiness, but I've never circled them, which, really has happened in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah. You've never, say that again?
I've never embraced all these nuggets that I've seen, and I can collect to say this is where happiness is truly coming from.
Right.
I just have never been able to say this is what I want to do. And I would just say then for the first time, Valerie and I worked together on mission for Christ was here in Anderson within the addiction community.
Mm-hmm.
First time ever.
Mm.
And so that was probably the opening of the door for us to start looking and having a different type of conversation amongst ourselves. And I think that brought us closer too.
And how was it different?
Because she had her things she did.
Right.
And I had mine.
Right. And now you
had a common area of helping the least of these.
Yeah. And it was centered on Christ.
Yep.
It's fun to do things like sailing together.
Yeah.
Right. It's fun to do those things. But bonding, like you said, oneness is the weight that marriage necessitates from the individual is best grounded in the oneness in our relationship to God.
Yeah.
And fueled.
Yeah. And the oneness comes when I'm not the one giving or not the one receiving. It's when I'm giving.
Right.
So being with Valerie when when she's doing something that just brings true joy, true
Right.
joy to her. And then having the ability to realize that
Yeah.
and see it in
Yeah.
action and understand what it is. And so that's the aspirations of my life now, is to find those moments for me and
Yes.
things that I do.
Yeah.
And so she's just a motivation for me for the rest of my life, wherever that goes, on things that I can do. And that's kind of where my path is going at the moment.
It seems like for you, she's been a very inspirational person.
Yeah. From day one. I mean, she's smarter than me. And this is so true. Much smarter than me. She would make comments about things.
What will we do without our women?
I know.
Our lives.
Again, God gave her,
Is that just me?
brought her to me so that I could be better. And I'm so much different without her. And I'm just trying not to lose what she's given me and trying to retain that now.
I want to read a few verses that that have to do with a person that's in relationship to God and the hope that brings them.
Okay.
Psalm 23:4, and like we're just going to talk about them for a few minutes. Psalm 23:4, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me.
Mm-hmm.
Was that something that y'all experienced? Like,
Well,
how do you identify with that verse and like bring it?
I identify it sitting there on the ground at my home, totally coked out, not able to move or do anything, and he saved me. So I know he's there. My faith from when I've had faith from that day forward,
Right.
without any doubts, no doubts. Now, did I truly know what that meant?
Yeah.
But he's there, and I've seen it multiple times since.
Wow. It's cool. It's interesting that you bring up a moment of like coked outness versus the death of your wife. But I think that is one of the ways in which our walk with God has much more reach than we think it will when we go in path with him. It reaches into the death of our relationship with a medication, because that medication, whatever it is giving us death, or diminished living.
Yeah.
All right, Isaiah 41:10, fear not, for I am with you. I will strengthen you. I will help you.
Mm-hmm. He does it every day in my life. I in the small hours of the night when you have thoughts come in, that's not my thought. It's God speaking to me.
Yeah.
The Spirit speaking to me. And whether it's work related or missional work related, that's my guiding light for the day.
Yeah, is the conversation with him.
Yep.
Yeah. John 11:25. I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he dies, yet shall he live. That's a crazy statement that that anybody can look at that and say it's absurd. And everybody looks at it and says, I can't be only an animal that's here now. I've got a soul in me. I know it. I'm going to last longer than this short life. So, but it's still crazy.
Yeah,
How do you throw your physical to a band? Like, tell your physical to shush because you know you're more than physical.
Well, I mean, I think without that, for me, is that's the whole truth, and knowing that I've gone down that path already.
Yeah.
And I trust, and I've died to him. Is really just, that's where some of the doubt and problems they go away because of that, because I know where I'm going.
Right.
And
you know where she is.
I know where she is. It's like I said when we played the last song, which was I Can Only Imagine.
Yeah.
If you recall, what I said was, I know that I don't know. I know she's there now, so she doesn't have to imagine she's at the feet. So
Right.
that's where I want to be next, sometime down the road when it's time.
Yeah. And to have no real good bearing on your future past this life is a completely
No, that's where you
toxic
yeah, that's fear.
fear.
I talk to people that don't know that, and it's hard. It's hard for them to go and say, Brad, how come you're not overly anxious or overly, bitter
Right.
or whatever? All those things, none of that's come because I was comfortable in who I was and who she was, and I know where she is.
Has the Lord personally how has the Lord personally made himself known to you through this thing?
I think it's just what I said earlier. It's with Shannon. To me, that is
it's seeing that healing.
Yep, seeing the healing.
Seeing that healing, man.
And here's the
That is so wild.
Here's the
I want him more personal. I'm just saying, I want him more personal. I don't like the amount of distance we deal with. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And so the reason I asked him that is because I don't like that.
Yeah.
And I have a very strong relationship with the Lord. And so what you just said is he's made himself known to me because my daughter.
I've seen what he's done as a result. And I'll just say that for someone who's gone through something extremely painful and you prayed for the opposite for many, many years, to come away afterwards and still have the love and the belief and the trust and the faith, that ability, which I contemplate and I'm thankful for,
Right.
Is so different than others that haven't done that yet in their lives.
Yeah.
And everything that they've ever prayed for the most part, has been real. But when you're put up and you're in a spot where your prayer wasn't answered, that's the true test. Because the test isn't because, I prayed for this and it happened, right? That's great. And I'm not discounting that he's there and he's been, fruitful and fulfilling for them. But the true test comes when it isn't there. What do you do next?
That's right.
And so I'm trying to have a life that is positive, that is helping others, because that's where my joy comes from, amongst other things.
Yeah,
but a lot of it comes from that. So
when people talk about testing, I will convert that word to proofing.
Yeah.
Like distilling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a way of letting people think more differently about, like, I'm wrong, I failed.
Yeah.
The result of testing is potential failure.
Yeah.
And more about the result of testing or proofing, like through seeing a loved one pass, is as the dying happens, you call out to a present Father and say, help me. I need you to fill in this gap yet again on something that is really hard in this life, Father, Creator, or anything. You can call him anything you want.
Yeah.
He's got many names.
Yeah, and I like the term proofing. I shouldn't use the word testing because God doesn't test me.
Yeah.
He may not always protect me from judging.
Right.
But he's not there to test me to see where I'm at.
Yeah.
He's helping me become a better person in my life.
Yeah, he wants you to. He invites us in this world to ask for his presence in all of the ways in which this world pressures us.
Yeah, exactly true.
All right, here's another verse.
Whoa.
And then I'm going to close us.
Okay.
2 Corinthians 4:16. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. That's probably Paul. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. And one of the things I know that while, like, Val, your wife, is in this season and you're watching the wasting, I mean, your inner self was anchoring and pulling harder on the anchor and like burrowing deeper into the anchor of God. And the fruit of your life is evident. Thank you for joining us today. I wish we could have 9 hours, 9 parts to talk about more of this beauty, but we're going to pause it there. We've hit so many great topics. Again, if we handled something off color, we're just broken boys getting together to talk about a not broken father. And that's why the brand Common Man podcast, Common Man, exists, is to let regular creation sing and put glory and hope in an irregular and creative genius father creator.
Yeah.
I'm going to pray us out real quick. Did you have any other parting thoughts?
I was just going to say that, I agree that we're all common men, but we all have different worldly titles. So we are alike in that sense.
Here, hold my hand, man, because I love you. Dear Lord, thank you for this time. We don't like death. But we are choosing to trust you in all of the many headwinds of life. And when we do, we get to be held and comforted and caressed and like resting at your feet. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Love you. Thanks for joining us, y'all. We'll see you next episode.
Bye.
Talking well.